Good morning, everybody. My name's Miriam Divine, and welcome to another one of my readings. This reading is very specific to Persephone. As we look at her card here, can we get a little bit more? I guess we're not going to get it. I really do need to upgrade this camera. Okay, well, this is the Persephone card, and this is also the day before, right around Beltane, so you might see this on that time, which is the celebration of spring. And we're going to, of course, draw some cards with this, but I was almost drawn to get just a little bit of information about Persephone, because a lot of people see Persephone in a lot of different ways. Some people, she's definitely got, the same thing we all got, the mother maiden crone kind of feel. But I've almost worked with her always in the mother aspect, or honestly more of a wife type of aspect, where she comes in and she's not like a, Mrs. Cleaver or Leave It to Beaver type of wife. She's almost more like a little bit more sassy, more like a... I don't know, in the Desperate Housewives or something, where they're a little bit more sassy. She's a little bit more, she definitely loves her husband, Hades, but she also gives him that, sure kind of thing, like we've all done to certain guys, right? You kind of give them that, half lip service, yeah, oh, sure, yeah, go ahead, and then we'll encourage you to go do this, but really, we want you to do it kind of feel. So I have worked with her in a couple of different ways, and honestly, just a little bit more background here. We're going to draw, boy, these are really slick cards here. This is one of the oracle decks that I just saw draw some for Persephone. Okay, and what these cards are, I don't know what we're even drawing for, because it's just a message from Persephone, and these are more of aspects of Persephone here. So she gives us instantaneously, yes, this is what I was actually feeling, the Fool card, right? And balance, right? They go very good together with Persephone, because when I worked with her, I did a couple of different workings and spells with her, and probably the biggest working was when I was doing Psychopomp work, which I was helping soul cross back from the other side to this side to get reborn into a new human being. And in fact, I assume it was a human being, because I never went that. The next step was a little bit past me. But I did help the soul get to Persephone, where Persephone views the soul's purpose and then makes the judgment call and passes it on. Usually she helps this process. She's just a step, they're all just a step, and of course there are, Hecate picks souls to get reborn. Now, is she the only one who does it? No, of course not, but for certain chosen ones of Hecate, she works. Hecate kind of picks them, sends her helpers, like the two dogs or the snake or whatever, depending on where the soul is residing, and they go and bring that soul to Persephone in the underworld. I'm not sure, because I haven't worked with a lot of souls coming from the upper world, but I think they still go to Persephone. And then Persephone, of course, does a review and helps that soul get reborn a little bit more magical, a little bit more special, a little bit more spirit guided into the next step with, I believe, is Demeter, I think, comes in, and she passes the soul up to Demeter, and then that's who actually helps the rebirth and stuff process. Now, another thing about Persephone is this balance, right? They always show the tale of, her going, getting taken by Hades down in the carriage, down to the underworld, and he marries her. And it's not like a male thing, he marries her because he just takes her and that kind of crap. Yes, he did, but she let it happen, because I don't know any of you who've ever worked with Hades. He is a very charming type of entity or spirit to work with, especially if he fancies you or something, and he will play trickster. He will do some stuff with you a little bit more, you know, if you have that vibe around you. But Persephone, of course, you know, she's that wife who puts him in his place from time to time, and yet also lets him do his thing. So there's this balance I was trying to get to before, where she's taken down to the underworld and then brought back up every, 6 months out of the year. She's supposed to be up the top side versus the downside. And honestly, that might be where she works with the upper level souls. I don't know yet. And honestly, the story original about Persephone and stuff originally goes back to Inanna, who goes to that trip to the underworld and then comes back and then makes a deal with her, I think, husband, I believe at the time, Delmug or something. I can't remember his name. But, and he actually goes down to the underworld 6 months out of the year with Ereshkigal, which is technically Hades in the Sumerian myth. If you want to see more of that type of myth, you get a different viewpoint. Look at the story with Ereshkigal and Inanna and them and see how that 6-month myth works. And in that case, Persephone, and we all know gods and goddesses can be any gender. We're not saying Persephone has to be a girl. She definitely manifests in the Greek culture as feminine, but in the previous one, she manifested as masculine. And all the goddesses are very balanced, and all the gods are very balanced. They have this both giving and taking, and sometimes they force a little bit towards one side versus the other, such as like Zeus and that kind of feel when you follow him back into On and stuff. But they have a tendency to go around, and that's what this balance is really talking about. And it's not just balance of, gender, it's balance of energy, it's balance of life and death. And that's very Persephone. This whole Beltane balance on her of life and being reborn. And so with that, we're just, May 1st, beautiful springtime. Bunnies are flying around my yard. I got flowers all over the yard. All this kind of stuff. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time. Even though it's a little chilly here in the States, but it's still beautiful. So let's draw a little bit more about this message Persephone's giving us all. This is more Persephone vibes up here. This is what she's trying to give us for this, just the next few days, for this beautiful springtime kind of feel for Beltane. So, transformation. I mean, can you get any more Persephone than transformation? It literally is transforming from either the underworld to the upper world, transforming from, winter to spring, coming out, the thaws, and see how they got the butterfly here? Persephone, it's also about you transforming into you. And there's a lot of the gods and goddesses that do this. If you look at like Aphrodite or Inanna, Ishtar, they're all the same thing. They're push transformation, but slightly different. This is about, and it's not quite as edgy as, say, Lilith type of transformation, and it's not quite as deep and dark and shadowy work as Hecate type of transformation. Persephone is saying it's almost like the garden witch type of transformation. It's this working within nature and roots and trees. You have seed that gets planted in the dirt with water and moisture, and it just grows and becomes a blossoming, beautiful plant. The very same way, and she also, I heard animals as well. She talks about the same thing about babies. And literally, if you want a goddess for childbirth and stuff, I know some of the other gods and goddesses do that better, but Persephone definitely has a very big hand in that. If you want to work with her in that type of energy, maybe more conception energy for that growth and change and transformation into having the baby or conceiving the baby. And of course, carrying the baby is, the next kind of goddess type of feel. So she's really in that type of energy and transformation. Interesting, we got the sea witch. I'm getting like she's saying that you need to work with even elements you're not used to. Because Persephone's very earthy, very earthbound. Not bound, but very, Carthonic. She's like in the ground and shadowy and all that kind of stuff. As well as on the top when the sun just starts coming out and the blooming and stuff. This is work with, because you wouldn't be able to be born, the plants wouldn't come if there was no water, there was no oceans. And she's saying this is actually an aspect that we almost all forget, is what she's trying to say. She says, stop forgetting this, is I'm not just on the surface of the land with flowers and stuff like that. Look into the oceans as well, because there are plants in the ocean, there are flowers underwater, and I know this is mostly dominated by other entities, but I'm still there. Just like the earth has a lot of other entities dominating. And this is just a reminder that the oceans are there as well, and to look to other things other than what's you're very comfortable with. Like if you are a garden witch, a very earthy type who likes to dig and play, go to the seaside once in a while. Go to this, because there's also blossoms and blooms under the ocean. And the House of Flowers, right? We've been talking about flowers a lot, because Persephone's about flowers. She's about this, and I hear this, go get yourself some flowers, not cut flowers. Yes, you can get those. Yes, Persephone's okay with cut flowers. But if you can, get yourself one of those little potted plant flowers that like an annual, even some, ones that, come only once a year and then go and you have to reseed them or whatever. She says plant some flowers. Have some flowers in your house. If you have, that's what she's saying. She says she wants flowers. She wants to see flowers. And if you want to honor Persephone, put some flowers in your hair. Be a little bit more, in that, I almost hear like Anne of Green Gables where she covers her hat in flowers and everybody looks at her like she's crazy. Persephone's like, flowers, kiddos. So, do we have anything else we really need to draw for Persephone? Persephone, do you have any more? I hear yes, she's saying yes. Okay, Persephone, what do you want? She says, I want to tell you that I love you. Special message for people who are watching this. She does really love you. She's, like we couldn't guess, she's very down to earth type of goddess. So, I know you can, set up your worshiper, devotee around her, and do just rituals to her. But she honestly wants you more like a friend type of thing. Like, hey, how's it going, buddy? Let's work together. We'll do this, and I'll help you out a little bit. We'll get our hands dirty together and planting these flowers and doing our work together is what I'm getting. And anything else she says makes a mess here. She says this is too organized for me, right? I don't know why she says it, but she says it's a little too organized. I'm still organized. My God. Okay, Persephone, what do you want me to do with this? I don't know why she said to do this, but we're going to go ahead and do it. Okay. She says she wants to play a little game. Okay, Persephone, what are we doing? Okay. And this game is for all of us, but we're still organized. This must be me organizing stuff, right, Persephone? She says yes. Okay, I'm going to flip a card, and whatever the first thing that comes to your brain, that is your message. And I won't even say anything for this portion, just because I'll look at it and get my own message from it. So she just says, flip this one. I keep seeing this one. This is your message. Whatever's the first thing that came to your mind, that is your message from that card and what Persephone's trying to tell you. She says this one, same thing, same thing, same thing, same thing. And she says, draw another one, but not from either of these decks. Okay, What do you want? Do you want the Moon Witch? I have a few decks here. This one, really, you know, Persephone, I get tired of using this deck. I do like this deck a lot, but she's like, yep, draw just one or two from this deck, and we're going to do the exact same thing. And honestly, this little exercise is like also exercise in intuition. Persephone is, of course, about types of intuition. And our first card, we're going to all use our intuition real quick. I will give my intuition. I'll give you a few seconds to do your own intuition. And here we go. So use your intuition real fast. What does this card mean to you? Okay. I, get this instant cleansing with fairies, and almost like there's this magic all around you pouring down, right? And because you're worried about getting wet, you have this safety umbrella from the magic. And Persephone saying, close up your umbrella, baby. Close up. You don't need that. You don't need your umbrella. Let the magic pour through you and your friends. And the little fairies, see how they're not worried about this rain? And you think you never see fairies in the rain because you're worried like a butterfly. Their wings get messed up, but they don't. Close your umbrella is what I get from this one. Right, Persephone? Do we need another one? She says yes, she wants another one. Same deck? Okay. Okay. She says yes, this can be our last one. She almost said it was that one. She says it's this one. Okay. So, there you go. Everyone use your intuition. What does it mean? Okay. I got this instant, like, you're standing in your own doorway, looking out at the beautiful everything outside, and yet you're standing there. You want to go. You have this beautiful, like, I want to get out there, but yet you don't feel like you are ready. Persephone says you are ready. Step outside your door and go. Okay, that's what I have for you for this whole, Beltane Persephone feel. I love you all. I'm going to go get into my yard and do some gardening a little bit, even though I got to just pull weeds. But I love you all. Bye.